How would you describe your group and just how proud you were of what you saw Saturday?
Well, with some guys that haven't had a lot of experience in game days and things like that, I thought they did everything I asked them to do and some. And so I was very excited and very proud of those guys to go out and compete and do exactly what they're told to do. So I mean, it was fun to watch those guys.
How far have you seen this group come from when you took over in spring ball?
Yeah, I think they came a pretty long way, and I think a lot of the credit goes to the strength conditioning staff. I know Coach Bull mentioned that, and allowing them to become bigger, faster, stronger guys has really showed up. And then being able to really hone in on some skills about running the ball to defeat some tacklers and break some tackles, and that was a big one that showed up on Saturday. And so we're very, very pleased with how they reacted and how they kept their legs turning and kept hitting the hole pretty hard.
For Nico, describe just kind of how far he has come to reach that level, and then in his first career start get to a $190 and 2 touchdowns, both career highs.
Yeah, no doubt. I think credit to him. I mean, he worked his butt off this offseason and started showing up in the spring. I mean, thought that we had something with him and continued to get better and had a great summer. And we feel really, really confident with him and what he's able to do. And, obviously not a lot of game experience, but got in there and made people miss, broke tackles, and the rest is history.
Yeah. The two young guys, what did you take away from what X and Javon did in their first games?
I mean, both of them have crazy potential. I mean, we like them both. I think they're different type of runners. I think X is, probably the guy that might be a home run threat, and Bigelow's going to be the steady Eddie that's got really good feet and size and naturally runs with a good pad level. But both those guys bring great passion and want to hit the hole as fast as they can, and I think we got some great depth, and the future of the running back room is going to be pretty bright.
So where do we go from here? This is a pretty big debut, 321 on the ground. Where do you guys go from here, do you think?
After reviewing the tape with the guys, there's still a lot of things that we can clean up with our tracks and figuring stuff out, but really challenging them to have a better game than they did previously, and that's going to be a big one. Is we're going to lean on those guys, and they're going to have to take care of the football and make people miss and break some tackles and do their thing.
Obviously now it kind of puts the spotlight on your group in terms of potentially what they can bring to the table game in and game out, so maybe a little more attention on them from Washington State's perspective from the defense. Do you feel this is a group that can kind of rise to the challenge each week?
Yeah, I do. I think with all the run plays that we had, we're expecting to be a stacked box, and safeties are going to be super aggressive, filling holes, and we got to be ready. And it all starts with how our scout team is able to emulate that and how we can continue to get better at that. And I think they're ready to go. They know that there was a lot of yards still left out there on Saturday. I think that is something that we addressed, and they feel confident about it.
I'm curious, from your perspective, you've been here all 5 years now. How have you seen the preparation kind of change with this team, just as a whole? I mean, obviously, one, to change the culture and build a program here, but what have you seen in terms of the way these guys have kind of changed their approach and taking everything, day by day and the right steps to get to closer where we want to be?
I think it starts with the senior group. I mean, those 18 seniors that are here, they were here and they experienced that 2-10 season. Okay. And that's kind of where that culture started. They were sick of losing, and they outworked anybody that was out there, and the new guys that were coming in, the new guys that we got coming in, that culture's already built, and so they got to follow suit, and it's fun to watch those guys work extremely hard.
So now, in a week like this where you're getting ready for the home opener, obviously these guys are excited and confident. How do you kind of grind them through and say, hey, look, we haven't done anything just yet?
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing. I mean, I challenge the guys. I said, you know what, that was last week. We got another week ahead of us, and a Pac-12 opponent, and we haven't beat a Power 5 school in a very long time, and so that's the challenge. Is we got to be perfect in practice, and our preparation's got to be on point, and we should be up to the challenge.
What have you learned about this Washington State defense? Kind of hard because I haven't played a game like you guys, and then obviously a new defensive coordinator. What are you guys kind of expecting?
Yeah, I think with the way that we're running the ball and things like that, I think preparing for everything is kind of the thing that we're going to be able to do. But we got to be prepared for downhill backers and aggressive safeties, and if we're going to get on safeties, back's got to make something happen. And so that's a challenge, is emulating that, like I said, with the scout team, and seeing if they can show up to do it. So it'll be a tough one. I think they're going to load the box, and we're going to be ready to roll.
Have you seen even the scout team level increase in these last couple of years to better prepare you guys for game day?
Yeah, certainly. I think when we first got here, I mean, we were that 2-10 season. We had the most true freshmen starting in the country, and every year, we're able to kind of redshirt some guys now, and that's kind of when you've developed a program and a culture that you can really take a year to develop a guy instead of playing right out of high school. And so those scout teams, we got some pretty dang good players over there, and coaching them and encouraging them is just as important as seeing that, because the looks that we see all week, that translates to the game big time, and so that's a benefit to our scout teams. They're doing a great job.
Lastly, wanted to get your perspective. First-time starter at quarterback. Obviously, you've been here with Josh the last couple of years. How did you, as kind of the running backs coach, but on the offensive side, how did you evaluate what Tyler was able to do?
Yeah, I thought he was even keel, which is exactly what you want in a quarterback. His first start on national TV, and I know being the recruiting coordinator for the last 4 years, I got to know Tyler as a sophomore, and so I talked to him before the game. I said, "This is pretty crazy." We went from talking in art class and you drawing the bucking horse logo and sending me a picture of it to now you're starting on the big stage, and it was awesome to see. He did a great job, and he's going to continue to get better.